I'm Kirby Allison, and I love helping the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes. Join me as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. So I'm here in the basement of John Lobb, and I'm here with Nicholaus, one of their shoemakers, and you're actually bottom making right now a chukka boot,
yes,
right?
That's correct.
So, I mean, this is one of my favorite places to be, is here seeing someone do the bottom making, because this is really the soul, no pun intended, of the shoe. I mean, of course, so much work goes into the last making and to the clicking and the pattern making, but what you're doing right here really is what holds the entire shoe together. I mean, it's the spine or the backbone of the shoe itself.
Yes, that's correct. I've prepared the insole, which basically you set up a holdfast, which once you've lasted up the shoe, you put the welt in, which kind of holds the sole and the upper together. So that, I would say that's correct how you've phrased it. So.
And so this really is the crucible in many ways of a bespoke shoe compared to Goodyear welting. How would you compare this process to Goodyear welting? I mean, the factory-made shoe, this is being done totally by machine in the matter of 30 or 45 seconds. How long will you spend welting just one shoe?
I'd say that the handmade process is always, it's the original way of actually making a shoe. The Goodyear welted was a process which developed in terms of getting things industrialized so you could make shoes quicker, but I'd say because you have an insole, your holdfast is on the insole, so that kind of gives the whole strength to the shoe, because you're not actually attaching something separate onto the shoe.
So with the Goodyear welt, actually what you're saying is a linen rib is glued to the insole, to which then the machine stitches the upper and everything else through. But here you're carving out a channel, or holdfast as you called it, into the insole itself. And so, you know, the welt is, you know, going through, you know, what, 4 or 5 pieces of leather. You've got the welt, the upper, the interlining.
Interlining, you've got the toe puff at the front, the stitching at the back if you're going to stitch all the way around. So you've got quite a few layers to get through with an all, and
this is holding it all together.
And it all holds together,
As you're welting this, I mean, talk to me a little bit about what's actually being done.
So I've prepared threads which are, depending on the thickness of the sole and the type of construction or how thick the welt is, I'd prepare threads according to the sole and how that would be put together afterwards once I've stitched it together.
So a sturdier boot would have a thicker welting thread than, say, a city shoe.
Yes, exactly. I'd say something a bit more
sturdy,
yes, which gives a chukka boot, because it's a 3/8 sole, is quite heavy, so I would make the threads a little bit thicker and a bit stronger for the construction. With welting, once I've prepared the threads, I'll just basically stitch the welt through. So that would be a stitch where, so you'd make an incision with your awl and then thread one through of the corresponding side, so, and then through to the other side, and then pull the threads through.
Can you show us just one?
So I would, as you can see, there's the holdfast which holds the whole shoe together. So I pre-punch my hole, so as I progress I know where I will be doing my next stitch. So I would stitch just to the edge of the feather line and then catch the welt, where I would then follow through with the first thread and then follow through to the other side with the second one. So I won't pull this because I really need to thread it, but that's the whole principle behind these. So and as they slide across each other, it heats the wax, and then once the threads have set, the wax kind of cools down and then sets
the threads
into position.
And it's 2 interlocking threads, and so part of the reason it's done like this is so that if a stitch were to ever break, it's still locked together. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, it will hold us the whole shoe together. So once they do go in for a new sole or repair, that can be easily.
And you're doing all this without any kind of leather wraps on your hands.
I feel uncomfortable using those. I've tried them in the past, but maybe I haven't gone use them. But I really do like because I use my awl mainly for pulling, and the other hand on my left hand I don't really pull with that one. I just kind of position the thread, hold it sturdy, and
And how are you feeling the leather? I mean, what are you looking for as you're doing this?
It's basically the tension of how you pull. If you feel that you've gone through the layers without trying to rip through the welt, I'd say that as long as the welt is in position and it's held down quite firmly and there's no movement beyond the stitch, then you know that you have done a good stitch and it will hold the welt in place.
Yeah, and another benefit of traditional hand welting is, unlike a Goodyear welted shoe, that if it were to get wet and water were to seep into the welting area, it could actually cause the glue that's attaching the rib to the insole to come undone. But here, there is nothing that can be done to really do anything to compromise the integrity of the shoe.
No, I won't. I mean, I've repaired shoes that are as old as I am, and I found shoes which are still in perfect condition because the way they've been set up, the stitches are still holding the shoe together. It's just a matter of replacing the sole.
Yeah, and a big part of your job here at Lobb, of course, is also repairs.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing shoes come back that, amaze you.
You get a good mix because there's been so many outworkers who've worked for Lobbs and they've all constructed shoes very differently. So once you've taken the shoe apart, you can see how
it was done,
what the good parts are, what the bad parts are, and how you would integrate it into your own work further on if you make a new pair of shoes. But I'd say the whole thing about repairs is that you can build up speed, you can see what's going on, what went wrong basically, and then...
But a big part of the repairs is, again, with a handmade shoe from Lobb, it's really meant to last a lifetime.
Yes.
And so you see shoes that come back that have literally lasted a lifetime, haven't you?
I have, yes, and there was one chance where I had to repair a pair of shoes. The upper was still in immaculate condition, and then there was a date on the ticket, and it was actually my birthday of the year that I was actually born. So
unbelievable.
So I was really impressed by repairing a pair of shoes that was
as old as you were.
As old as I am, and it's still in perfect condition. So obviously the person who ordered them looked after them very well, but only needed to replace the sole.
A proper pair of bespoke shoes, if cared for, especially in terms of caring for the upper, can last a lifetime, even beyond a lifetime. Have you seen any shoes come by that maybe a son had inherited from his father and that you were resoling?
Yes, we have. I did one a couple of weeks ago. A father passed on shoes to his son, and the son just basically wanted them resold.
Yeah. Do you ever, you sit here in this room, in Lobb, really in the center of the entire building. I think it's really fitting that here you are kind of in the middle, because again, this is so important to the overall process, is, the actual bottom making. Are you just ever in awe of kind of here you are and, kind of a part of the continuity of tradition that you represent doing your work here?
Yeah, I do. I feel very lucky to be here and to be in this position. It's a great chance to be here and to work with all the craftsmen in the building where I can discuss shoes with, and if I encounter any problems, speak with them, and I think that's the most important.
Yeah, really, through these doors and in this workroom, some of the world's best shoemakers have worked for ages.
Yes, yeah.
It's got to be unbelievable to be able to learn from that.
Yeah, I think that's important. If they still, because most of them have moved on or passed away, and it's quite good that you do know of them, or some of them that are still around who can pass on some skills or give you some tips on how to improve your work. And
how would you describe the essence of a Lobb shoe? There's a lot of West End shoemakers, but there's only one Lobb.
So Lobb kind of maintains its traditional shoe. I think customers are drawn to the shape, the comfort, the fit of the shoe. It does have the history behind it of being a Lobb shoe, which
it's quite significant.
It's a significant part of the whole
aura, if you will.
Aura, yes, of having a Lobb pair of shoes. And plus the staff that's been here, they've been over here for over 30 years, so they've put in a lifetime of work into evolving the product and the shoe. And
absolutely. Not only has it been run by the same family for the likes of 5 generations, but just whenever I walk around here, I'm in amazement of just the shoemakers that have been here for 30 years. You don't see that very many places.
No, you don't. I think it's an old school mentality as well of shoemakers who stayed with one job and maintained that that whole work ethic and stayed with the same company and worked through.
Yeah. Well, and I think in many ways it's what also kind of creates a Lobb shoe is the fact that, you know, the people making Lobbs have, for the most part, made Lobbs their entire life.
Yeah, I think that's why when I get repairs, I see that's still part of the whole. Yeah.
I mean, you know, not only is the provenance important in terms of, you know, really the just the authenticity of the shoe, but at the end of the day, you know, you guys still make great shoes, right?
I think from beginning to end, we try to maintain the quality. They use the best materials. The craftsmen, as I said, the craftsmen here have been here for over 30 years, and
and some of the things, you know, to this day are the same as they've been since the beginning. And I think that, again, it's part of the history in this workshop is, you know, your bench, you know, that's here. I mean, think of the other shoemakers that have sat here where you are, or, you know, striking the outsole and the heels, you know, with the same hammer and wooden anvil that has for, who knows, well over 100 years. I mean, it's that commitment to doing things the same way they've always been done, you know, without cutting corners and without, in many respects, changing, that make a Lobb shoe.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much for letting us sit with you, and I'm just always in awe of the work that you guys are doing, and it's an honor to be here, and, you know, it's great to see you again.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, Kirby.